Okay, we got BCCI Central Contracts, or as they're officially calling it, the annual retainership. Was that right? Did I say that
Yeah,
right?
that's right. That's right.
Awesome. So we're gonna unpack that this episode here. Talk about Team India, a change from the IPL drama that's going on with the season. But let's dive in. So, any surprises right off the bat with this new contract list?
Well, first off, new inclusion, Ishan Kishan. I thought that was a great addition. He just scored a century and he had sort of fallen off, I would say, in the last few months. I'm not too sure what the reason was because, whenever India has called him up, I think he has performed. Obviously, that game against Pakistan against Asia Cup comes to mind in the double
Yeah.
century against Bangladesh. So,
Yeah.
it's nice to see him back on the list. I think he's category C, but no, I think you sort of need a younger wicketkeeper there as well. So, nice to see him. Nice to see some obviously retained names as well. Virat Kohli, obviously Bumrah in the respective A plus categories. But no, I don't think there's too much surprises. I don't know. Was there anything that piqued your interest?
Yeah, on the point of Ishan Kishan, I was surprised to see him on too. And it's interesting because I thought he fell off the radar in terms of wicket keepers for India. And when you look down the list, clearly Pant, Shubman, and KL, you could argue is would classify as a wiki. That's your main three, and then they're definitely invested in Dhruv Jurel across all formats. He seems to always be there with the team. And then Jitesh Sharma was, he was the preferred last choice for wicketkeeper because Ishan saw a bit of a dip in his form. But it looks like Ishan's back in the radar, and I wonder if it has been his IPL form. I mean, other than that century, he hasn't done too much, but perhaps it's what he brings that they like over Jitesh. Jitesh hasn't done much, at least in the IPL right now. You could argue that he doesn't really have a good spot to score runs from. Ishan does bat in the top order, but I like Ishan Kishan. I know his attitude. People have commented on his attitude and his just his mannerisms and all that. But when it comes to performing, I think he has that X factor that usually India looks for, especially in their wicketkeepers. And yeah, I like him being in the list for sure.
A question. Do you think the addition of Ishan Kishan, the reason for that could possibly be to add pressure on Pant? Because Pant's not in the best of forms in recent times, not the best IPL forms. So is it sort of maybe BCCI's maybe giving indication that maybe their investment in Pant isn't going to go too far?
I don't know. That's a good question because having said that, they did bump up Rishabh Pant to grade A from B. So clearly they're very invested in Pant. And I saw some of the chatter on social media. Like people are saying that Pant doesn't deserve to be in grade A.
Hmm.
Again, I would think that when you look at player versus player amongst all the keepers, Punt is definitely a person that could win you a match. Like talking about X Factor, he can turn a match on its head over any of these players. When I'm talking about wiki keepers, so I don't know. That's a good question, but I think Punt has done more in terms of winning matches from India with the bat.
No, fair enough there. Obviously, alluding to Pant's sort of dip in T20 form, but hoping things are up from there. Was there anything else that piqued your interest? I think one thing that did pique my interest was Ravindra Jadeja, A plus.
Yeah,
I was a little surprised at that. Maybe it's sort of that little premium given to what he has brought historically. But, I don't really see his position in T20s. I know you can argue that obviously, you have Rohit Sharma and Kohli there in A plus as well. But I just think they're a separate category than Jadeja. What were your thoughts on that?
yeah. So for the viewers and audience listening and watching, this is the reason why we recorded this particular podcast because we were talking about this exact topic offline. We're like, why are we talking offline about this? So both of us have interesting views here. I think Jadeja is deserved of A plus contract. I feel in terms of servant, is that a word? Servitude.
Servitude.
Yeah, servitude. In terms of servitude to Indian cricket, he has he is on the same level as a Kohli, as a Rohit Sharma, as a Dhoni. Like he's given so much to Indian cricket in all formats that it's justified to have him at A+, even though maybe he's at the tail end of his career. I don't think you're dropping him off that list. Like, he's given so much to Indian cricket. So that's my perspective.
See, I see that, but then again, it goes back to sort of, I guess, future looking, right? Is he a plus category for the next 12 months? Maybe you can argue he'll be instrumental in the test tours coming up. Maybe in those ODI bilaterals, which again, nothing comes to mind in my memory. And he's obviously, I would say, not going to be a part of the T20 squad as well, right? So, are we sort of giving him an A+ category for his involvement in the test, in like the test series in England, for example?
Yeah,
Whereas
absolutely.
in my eyes, I would say that why isn't KL Rahul A+? I would say that his value to the team in the next 12 months is arguably potentially a little bit more than Jadeja's, at least in my eyes. Again, mind you, I'm a Jadeja fan, so
Yeah. So I guess my perspective on it, if I were to use an analogy, it's like if you look at when you work for a company, right? And as you build your experience, you tend to you bring more value, and so you're compensated for the value. So I feel from that perspective, he has a lot of experience and he brings a lot of value, even though he's just playing one format. He makes him being in the team is an asset from experience standpoint, from an all-round ability standpoint, from ability to groom maybe the next all-rounder. We don't know how much of impact he's had on Akshar Patel, because they've been at one point competing for a spot, or when Jaddu was injured, Akshar would play in his place, right? So I'm coming from that perspective. If you look at, which in a way it is, right? The cricket players that play for any country, you're an employee for that board, right? And so
yeah.
that's my view on it. It's like he has earned his ability to earn that much because of how much he's done in the past.
No, fair enough. Again, I'm not arguing on what he's done in the past. I do see your point there. And no, I'm gonna still stick to my opinion because I look at more forward looking. But
Yeah,
again,
that's yeah.
it is an organization, and you do have to cough up a little bit more coin for the experienced people, right? So no, I'm cool there. I'm cool there. But one thing I also wanted to ask you very quickly: were there any players that you saw in the grade C category that you potentially could have seen them in the grade B category? For example, some names that I think could come to mind. Potentially Arshdeep Singh, Varun Chakravarti. Mind you,
Hmm.
Arshdeep Singh is India's all-time leading T20 wicket taker. He is a gunner of a player, and I think India should start moving him up the value chain in terms of grooming him more. For example, ODI and Test cricket. I think you need that option, and I think it should be important to sort of align values to sort of where you see players going in the future. So, was there anything that saw you that piqued your interest there, or in particular to Arshdeep Singh's example?
Ashu Singh's a good shout. I would agree with that one. I think his performance in the T20 World Cup as an example in the final is super underrated. Everyone talks about Hardik Pandya, Bumrah, but no, everyone forgets. I think he bowled the second last over, if I'm not mistaken.
He did, yeah,
He bowled at least one over in that last 4 or 5 overs.
yeah, second last over, I believe.
Yeah, and it was a crucial over because amongst the three bowlers, he's probably the one that you would quote unquote target as an
Yeah.
opposition team. And he handled himself really well, handled the pressure really well. And I think he took a wicket. I could be wrong, but in any case, that over was impactful in allowing Hardik to have a lot more of a cushion to defend in that last over. And I
Hmm.
know we're talking about a one game, but that helped India win the World Cup. And so, and he did well throughout that World Cup. And
Yeah.
to your point, he's been India's best bowler in T20Is. And so this is where it's interesting, right? It's interesting to understand how BCCI or whoever determines these contracts, how they view or how they rate the players, and how do they put them in these contracts. Because now it's like, okay, so is it because he only plays T20Is that you're
Yeah.
giving him grade C? But then what about his value of what he's bringing as a player overall, regardless of how many formats he plays in, right? So yeah, it's interesting. Like, I would have probably had him as grade B as well, because He's definitely one that he's a left armor, and India should invest in him for the long run for sure.
No, I think yeah, we both agree on that one. One name that I also was interested to talk about, Ruturaj Gaikwad, grade C. Where do you see his future in the Indian team?
I think he's we talked about this offline with India having so many options in that top three.
Yeah,
And I feel like he's in the conversation still because he brings a different dynamic to the top three. When you look at India's top three, again, if you just single out maybe T20Is and white ball, T20Is and ODI, you're talking Sanju, explosive, Abhishek Sharma, explosive. Who else we got? Ishan Kishan, I guess, falls in
yeah.
there, explosive. Who am I
Rohit
missing?
Sharma.
Jaiswal, explosive. Rohit
Yeah,
Sharma, explosive, right? And then there's another one. So Shubman Gill and Ruturaj Gaikwad, I would say, are of the same mold. They're classical players. They can be explosive, but that's not their only game. They can play
yeah.
the long game. They can switch gears. It's a stretch, but it's very Kohli-esque in that sense, right?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Classical batsmen, traditional batsmen have every single gear in the batting game that exists. And so I feel that even though he may not be in the conversation in the playing 11, and he hasn't been recently, it's good to see him on this list because he's another player that's good to invest in for the long run. Because he seems like a dependable batter, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. His technical ability, everyone talks about, and he's shown year in year out that he's waiting and he's ready. So no, I definitely see that as well. So no argument on that front.
Like if you were to do a head to head between who he goes up against for a spot, I would put him against Shubman Gill all day long. It's him and right now Shubman Gill, and rightly so, is above him. Right? He's proven it. He's consistently doing well. He's proving in the IPL right now as well. And it sucks that Rutu is injured, but if I were to pit him against a spot to take, it would be Shubman Gill's spot. And I feel if there's ever an injury to Shubman Gill, Gaikwad is someone Ruturaj is someone I'm looking at as a replacement because he's a like for like in terms of that style of playing.
Yeah, no. I get what you mean. Classy player, and so nope. I have no quarrels on that one. And just a small comment as well. I know we were earlier talking about happy inclusions on the list. Always happy to see Shreyas Iyer back on the list. I think well deserved. And no, he was obviously taken out of the Central Contract a few months ago, and then literally just grinded and won the IPL, won the Champions Trophy. Solid player for Team India in the middle order in the middle order. So no, definitely great to see Shreyas Iyer listed there as well.
Yeah, 100%. I have a feeling he's going to keep climbing up the ranks. I think
Yeah,
I won't be surprised if one day we see him at A plus. He has improved his game a lot. The one aspect of his game was playing the short ball, and he has really improved that aspect of his game. He had everything else going for him, and now he's improved that, and he's a more well-rounded batter. He also is a potential captain for Team India too. I could see
yeah,
him being a captain for Team India across all formats. I know in the test matches he's in the conversation. Lost his spot because of injury again, if I'm
yeah,
not mistaken. But whenever he's
yeah,
gotten a chance, he's done well. And once we have Rohit and Kohli retire, I mean, those two spots are going to be up for grabs, and that number 4 spot is going to be up. And he seems like a candidate for that test match position at number 4. I could see him being there for sure. So yeah, I'm very happy with his inclusion, and yeah, I think he's not coming off that list anytime soon.
yeah. I know. I think you raised a good point about the mentality and captaincy. And then I know we'll talk about this in our next episode, but unreal IPL captaincy right now. I know we all know what he did last year with Kolkata, but even this year as well, new team, sort of working with the new coach as well, and he's shown that he has a mental fitness to captain sort of any team.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Any other surprises and maybe from the not retained player list?
I miss Ashwin. I miss Ashwin. I'm so
RIP the
used to
player.
seeing his name. So used to see, so used to seeing him after all these years.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I think the thing about it, with the IPL going on right now, is
yeah.
that you can think of a lot of players that you're like, damn, they could have a future. with Team
Yeah.
India. But
Yeah.
like for example, Sai Sudarshan. I think he's an orange cap holder right now, currently,
Yeah.
right?
I think he'll be on there soon.
Yeah, similar here. I think yeah, but then again, how many openers could you really have?
Yeah, I know, I know. That's what it is. It's India is just spoiled with talent right now, and it's tough, and people are gonna get left out.
Yeah, no, I see that. But one thing I definitely want to see an inclusion of is a real quickie, a real quickie. I
Mm.
know Umrah Malik was in discussion, and I the name
Akashdeep,
just
he's in there.
hit the deck hard, right? Hit the deck hard.
He's pretty quick. You're talking 150 plus. You're talking someone like a Mayank Yadav.
Mayank Yadav. I think it'll be nice and exciting to eventually, hopefully, see Mayank Yadav's name there. I know he hasn't,
Shirana's
played
there too.
Harsharana. Yeah.
Good.
He's there. Yep, I did see
Yeah,
his name as well.
yeah,
But I know I meant like sort of those generational quicks that everyone sort of, I would say, puts on a pedestal a little too quickly.
yeah.
No, hopefully, obviously, we know with Mike Yadav's injury, hopefully he's able to have a good IPL run whenever he's able to, and then hopefully India is able to get at least a pacer who's able to clock 150 once in a while.
Yeah, yeah. It's sad. It's sad to not see him play. He was highly talked about last
Yeah,
season.
yeah,
I haven't seen him play yet. I think he was included in one of the India squads, the T20 squads, if I'm not mistaken.
he was. Yeah.
He played, right? He played one or two games,
I
but
want to
again,
say he didn't play. I
didn't
don't
play.
think so.
I can't
I don't
remember.
think so. Yeah,
But I see what you're saying. Like having an out and out. Umran Malik has fallen off the radar hard. Like he's not even in any
yeah,
NPL teams right now. And it sucks. It sucks, but that's the nature of the beast, nature of professional sports, right? You have a couple
yeah.
of guys in here, like I mentioned, Harshit, Akashdeep, also Prashit Krishna. He can bowl quick too. But yeah, you're right. You don't see them clock 150 consistently. They maybe have one or two balls here or there, but it's not because they I would say average maybe low to mid 140s,
Yeah,
right?
still quick. Don't get me wrong. Still
Yeah,
quick.
for sure. But that extra, they say in international cricket, writers do say that there is a big difference from 140 to 150. You're talking Mark Wood level, Jofra Archer, 150, 155. There's a big difference from
Yeah,
140 to 150, which is crazy to think about, right? Because it's not that much of a difference, but then when you're talking about reaction time, it probably
yeah.
makes a hell of a difference.
Oh, I'm sure. And then that's where the saying comes from, right? Pace is pace, right? So no, but no. Then again, I think it's a great list. India, again, as you mentioned earlier, India has a plethora of players they can pick.
Yeah. Before we sign off, I do want to give a shout out to one player that did whatever he could do best, Mr. Lord Shardul Thakur himself. Gotta give him his flowers. He did the best he could whenever he got an opportunity. He was always that person that went above or punched above his weight, as people like to say. And I think the emergence of Nitish Kumar Reddy as sort of is the reason why he's probably left out of the contract list because, yeah, you're definitely taking NKR over him. You're investing in him. He's 21, 22. Shardul's on the end of his career right now. But yeah, it was fun while it lasted. He was a good player to have in the team. Not a full all rounder, but hey, he made some great contributions.
Yeah, and unfortunately, throughout Indian cricket history, you have those players where you remember those games that they were involved in, and they were real match winners or momentum shifters. But unfortunately, they were not able to really cement their spots in the India squad. One, because of talent. Two, because of age and sort of coming late, a little bit later into the scene. Can't really blame them with, one, the cricket culture in India as well as the population. But
Yeah,
I think you had a great point. You have to give flowers to such players, and Shardul Thakur, 100%. If he has a ball in the middle overs, he's gonna figure out a way to scrap a wicket.
yeah, 100%, 100%. Gotta love his character. Gotta love him.
Yeah,
What
Lord.
the he brings to the field. It's just different. He knows. You could sense that he knows he has his limitations,
Yeah,
but that doesn't stop him from giving it his all, which is amazing.
yeah. It's pure grit from that guy, right? So no, I completely agree.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's a great place for us to stop this episode. So feel free to comment in the comments below. Let us know your thoughts on the contracts, who you thought maybe should have gotten a better deal than they got, or who should have been retained, or who should have not been on that list.
Or are we missing someone?
Or are we missing someone? Exactly. Yeah, I'll be curious to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That stumps.